Yo, what is good, everybody? It is your boy, Golden Falls, Golden What Ifs, whatever you want to call me, and I'm back. This is What If Deku had a whole Quirk part 2. And as always, if you enjoy, show some love. Leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. And also, make sure to check the links in the description for my Spotify, which I try to keep updated. Sorry if it's not always updated, but I try to keep it updated. And also, my Discord, which yeah, my Discord isn't super active, and I'm gonna be honest, it's my fault, and I'm not super active on my Discord in general. But if you want to come here, if you want to come there and basically leave what if ideas and stuff like that, it's a lot easier for me to see those ideas if they're on that Discord. So if you got like a list of them or a bunch of ideas that you would like to see me do, I'll definitely take a look at them as well. With that said, though, I don't want to waste much more of your time, and I want to get right into the what if, so let's get it. Izuku Midoriya is finally going to take his next step into UA High School. UA High School is a big deal for him and a big thing and a big change that Izuku is very excited for. And when he gets into his class, he's worried. Initially, he is a little worried about other people thinking that he's going to be kind of weird, or they're going to be scared of him, or something along those lines. But when he gets there, he gets a pretty warm welcome. Like, everybody kind of thinks that he's a pretty cool person, and that even the monster that he was at one point isn't necessarily something that they are deathly afraid of. Not to the extent that Izuku was kind of thinking they would be. And Izuku is happy to see this. At the end of the day, he doesn't want any ill will with anybody. And he eventually even sees Ochako Uraka, somebody who he literally saved. And she immediately goes and starts talking to him about how grateful she is and about how amazing he is and so on and so forth, and how happy she is that she can basically meet him once again and that they're here in UA together. In which Izuku is like, yeah, of course, like this is a great opportunity for everyone, including both of us, and he's excited to work alongside of her, and it should be really good fun and a good time. In which Aizawa comes in and says, yeah, a good time, sure. In which Izuku is obviously already sitting down, but Aizawa tells the rest of the class to sit down as well. And Aizawa says that not everything will be a good time. Not everything will be happy. Not everything will be go-lucky. Not everything will be good. At the end of the day, they're going to have a lot to deal with. And, well, for starters, he's not going to do some stupid orientation. Because the idea of doing a stupid orientation is ridiculous. Like, all they're gonna do is compliment him and compliment all of them, and he doesn't care for doing any of those things. So what are they gonna do? Well, they're going to train. Well, sort of. They're going to do a quirk assessment test that involves a lot of different attributes that they're going to have to deal with. Now, in terms of the training or the quirk assessment, it's very basic. It's a lot to do with just strength, speed, and stuff like that. And Izuku would excel at a lot of these things, especially with his kind of natural, like, physical kind of being that even without his Hulk form, he is decently strong. He's really fast. He's, all of these different things. And that's the reality of it. Izuku is a pretty strong person and pretty just durable overall. So when he watches basically Bakugo throw the first ball, and then it eventually leads him to doing the same, throwing the ball as far as possible, Izuku gets a pretty damn decent score. Now, it's nothing like insane. Don't get me wrong. It's not like he's like, oh, he's gonna launch it into space or anything like that. It's like, it's not that crazy, but he does do a pretty damn good job, and he does very good on practically everything. And that's what's good about Izuku. Izuku does well at everything, and that's going to massively benefit him in the long run. So he doesn't get like a top 3 score, but he definitely would get like a more of a top 5 to top 7 like score that would basically show Aizawa that he has massive potential even as someone without his kind of Hulk-like powers. In which after class and after the assessment, he does get pulled over by Aizawa. Aizawa asks him like, hey, that he needs to understand that he truly needs to figure out how to optimize this person, optimize this being, this creature that he has that is within him. He needs to figure it out, because at the end of the day, he might be strong, he might be fast, he might be durable right now, but he'll never be the hero he seeks after to be. He'll never be that hero that is at a completely different level. And if he wants to be, without the Hulk-like figure basically helping him and getting better and stronger and bonding with it and getting more usage out of it, well, he has a lot of training to do, like a lot. He needs to expand his arsenal of martial arts, needs to expand his arsenal of fighting, everything, every last bit of it. He needs to do it all if he can't actually get control over this so-called Hulk-like figure, in which Izuku says that he's not gonna get control over him. He's going to bond with him. He's going to gain kind of this presence that both of them can coexist and they can work together. In which Aizawa tells him he doesn't care what he calls it, he cares about the results. And if he can't get those results, then he'll have to freaking basically just push himself to the absolute limit no matter what. And he basically tells him that he'll be doing that from here on out anyways, because he knows damn well that they're not going to be utilizing that Hulk form anytime soon, at least for now, right? At least for now. He's not going to be using it. And that is the truth of the matter. And Izuku does, over the next couple of days, continue kind of training and working hard and trying to get himself prepped in general, just in case. In which this would be perfect, because Izuku does have something coming up very, very soon. And that one thing that Izuku has coming up is actually this fight, or this kind of training with All Might himself. All Might is actually going to be training them, and All Might has something that he's excited to work with them on. What All Might is going to do is he's actually going to work with all of them to do a heroes versus villains like training session. And this training session will be beneficial to basically all of them. This training session will involve kind of capturing a bomb, defeating villains, and so on, in which Izuku is actually teamed up with Ochako and goes against Bakugo and Tenya Ida, in which they're the heroes, or Izuku and Ochako are the heroes, and well, Bakugo and Tenya are the villains. And basically their job is to touch the bomb. If they touch the bomb within the allotted time, then they win. But if they don't, then there's an issue. Then they lose, and they lose the training session, which All Might allows them to head off. And obviously All Might tells him, hey, probably it's best to avoid using your Hulk form, in which Izuku says that he agrees. He has no actual intention of kind of messing with the Hulk form or doing anything with the Hulk form, so he obviously is just going to use his normal form, in which All Might tells him to be careful, like, you know, do your best and blah blah blah. And Izuku nods his head, and Izuku already has a plan. He knows what he wants to do. This version of Izuku is stronger, faster, and also just more durable, and everything basically better than the original Izuku without One for All. So he knows that he is prepared. Obviously, he doesn't know about his, alternate self, but he knows that he is prepared. He knows that he can face down Bakugo. He's gone kind of head to head with him a couple times throughout their childhood, and he knows he can take him down. So when they enter and they walk through, and Bakugo comes basically blazing at him, immediately just exploding his way toward Izuku, Izuku would duck underneath him, grab him by the arm, and slam him on the ground extremely hard. And everybody's watching like, whoa, that was quick. In which Aizawa is basically watching from a different area, and he basically is thinking to himself that the kid seems to get the idea that if he's not able to be the hero that he wants to be, if he's not able to control that Hulk form, well, at least he's preparing himself to be someone of consequence, involving kind of just being good at fighting in general. And that's what Izuku is basically able to show. Izuku is able to show that he can be comparable, at fighting. And in one fell swoop, he's able to knock out Bakugo, racing up the staircase with Ochako and going where Tenya currently is. Izuku would dash at Tenya, and Tenya would have the speed advantage, but Izuku would look to kind of cut off the room, cut off the area, and as he cuts it off, it limits the area that Tenya could actually move, leading to him trying to kick Izuku, but Izuku would easily grab his leg and put him directly on the ground and immediately just knock him out. Izuku would swiftly be able to do this, and remember, he's had training in this specifically, especially in mild martial arts. He's not like, a martial arts freak or anything, but he has had preparation in this. He has nowhere near the training that he needs to be a pro hero, but he does have preparation enough to defeat some basically low tier students that, let's be honest, these students would stand really no chance against Izuku for the most part. But the defeat of them and also the winning portion of Izuku and Ochako would obviously celebrate. Ochako thinking that she didn't really do that much, and Izuku says that it's truly no issue. I mean, her being there to support and make sure that they could cut off the area of Tenya and stuff like that. And also he did limit the ability that she was going to have in terms of utilizing any kind of items that she could have levitated and stuff like that. So he tells her not to worry about it, that it's truly not an issue, in which she tells him it was super impressive nonetheless what you were able to do, that what you were able to do even without your massive Hulk form, you were able to handle yourself so well, in which Izuku says that he's been working towards this, especially because frankly, he's been dealing with a lot of things involving not being able to basically utilize his own power properly. And he's definitely refined it to a degree that he feels pretty confident, but not confident to the point that he feels that, well, he could just quit right now, but confident to the point where in the near future, he could definitely see himself being a hero by utilizing this alone. In which she asks, does he have any intention of utilizing and learning how to truly bond with the Hulk version of himself, in which he says he does. He 100% does. But in reality, he doesn't really have a choice at this moment, so he's going to just benefit from his natural strength and speed and durability, and he'll kind of handle that situation in the near future, in which she thinks that makes sense. I mean, he can't rush into anything, especially in a training session like this. If he just decided, oh, I'm going to use my Hulk form, and then something went really bad, that would be extremely kind of irresponsible. Now, this would lead them to kind of talking about other people's session of training in terms of heroes versus villains. They watch a lot of different people fight and go at it, and that's people like Shoto Todoroki and Momo Yaoyorozu and stuff like that, and so on and so forth. Many people actually are in this training kind of facility, and after it all is said and done, and after they all go to their classes and stuff like that, eventually excitement would build up, because this would be the first time they're actually headed to actually go to the USJ, in which the USJ is a rescue facility or a rescue training type of facility. It's very similar to like a simulation facility where they're going to learn how to rescue people properly, or learn how to actually approach rescuing people to a large degree, in which Izuku thinks that this is a very good thing to get into, and a very good thing for him to truly learn, because at the end of the day, I mean, he needs to know how to save people to a large degree. He needs to figure out how to basically save people even in or even out of his Hulk form. I mean, his Hulk form, yes, could jump in and save 50 people, put them on all on their back or something crazy, you know what I mean? That's how strong the Hulk form is, but he is not that strong. He needs to figure out as a normal human and or kind of an enhanced human how to save people and also not get himself killed. So he sees this as a great opportunity, And this opportunity, though, would be squandered, not because of the students, but actually because of an invasion of the villains, or the League of Villains. The League of Villains would invade the USJ looking to actually kill the number one hero, All Might. But All Might's not there. All Might's currently not there, and currently actually back at the regular facilities of UA, in which, of course, Shigaraki is looking for All Might, but he believes that, you know, if he starts hurting some of these students, that All Might will eventually show up. So might as well. He tells Kurogiri to teleport them all away, in which he does just that, putting Izuku in an awkward situation. Izuku's gets dropped in this lake-like area, but he's able to swim out pretty damn quickly. Like I said before, Izuku is beyond an Olympian level at basically everything, so he's able to swim out pretty easily, and eventually arrives on the small little like boat that is currently there. Asui and Mineta are also there, in which Izuku asks them, what do you think that they should do? In which he asks Tsuyu initially, like, do you think you'll be able to jump from here to the land? In which she says no, not without like an extra boost or an extra jump. And Mineta then asks him, like, well, what about that thing that people have been talking about? In which Izuku's like, what are you talking about? Like, what are you getting after? Or what's the idea that you're thinking about? In which, well, he says, well, your Hulk form, your big form that, you know, is like monstrous and could do this and could do that and blah, 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 right? You know, all this crazy stuff, in which he thinks, he doesn't think it's a good idea. I mean, seriously, like, he doesn't have full control over it, and there's no telling what that thing will do, in which Tsuyu thinks that's understandable. Like, maybe they shouldn't do that. In which Izuku says he thinks that if he kind of jumps out and pushes and punches toward the water, that he might be able to exert enough force that launches them away, or he might be able to actually outswim them if Tsuyu gets them in a proper situation. In which Tsuyu thinks, you think you can outswim them? And, well, he's like, well, maybe. There's no guarantee, of course, but Izuku is a very, very fast swimmer, and eventually they decide on the idea that they're gonna jump as far as possible. Tsuyu will launch them as far as possible as well, and they'll basically swim. Him and Tsuyu will swim together with Mineta holding on, in which that's what they end up doing, and they're able to outrun them just quick enough to where they literally cannot catch up to them. The fish-like people and, like, you know, the villains that try to keep up with them actually come out of the water, in which they become easy work for Izuku and Asui. They easily are able to defeat them, in which Izuku is thinking that they need to get out of there now. As they turn and look to basically leave, well, Izuku sees something that would absolutely shock him. Well, it's Shigaraki about to grab the face of Asui, and he knows what this means. He's seen it already today during this time of them trying to get away. He's seen what he can truly do. Shigaraki is going to disintegrate Asui. Izuku is dashing forward, trying to stop this from happening. He can't allow it. He can't let him grab her by the face. And as he tries to get there, well, Shigaraki would grab her, but nothing would happen. Immediately, they would see Aizawa actually stopping Shigaraki from doing this, in which Izuku would immediately grab the hand of Shigaraki and yank him out of the portal, slamming him on the ground, making sure to avoid the touch of Shigaraki. Izuku tells him that he's messed up. He messed up really, really bad, in which Aizawa would then yell and tell the kid to move out of the way, to watch out. And as he yells, watch out, Izuku turns and he sees the fist of the Nomu about to land straight on his jaw. But as the Nomu's about to connect, well, Izuku puts out his left hand, as his left hand would slightly block the Nomu, or the Nomu's punch, and his left hand would begin to grow. As it grows, it turns green, and his arm begins to turn into this giant ferocious arm. As his arm turns, his body would turn as well, and he begin transforming once again. And as he does this, everybody's in shock, wondering if this was on purpose, if he meant to do this, or this was at a last resort, in which Izuku would transform into the Hulk, and he would begin slamming the Nomu into the ground, dragging him along, and begin to throw him into every single wall possible, beating on it, beating on the Nomu, and beating the absolute brakes off the Nomu, even ripping him to basically shreds. All the durability that the Nomu has, it doesn't matter. He picks him up, slams him over and over and over again on the ground, and then leaves him laying there. And as Izuku turns, he would see the hand of Shigaraki, and Shigaraki's hand would land on Izuku's arm. And as it lands on his arm, it would crack through a ton of Izuku's muscles and Izuku's left arm. Izuku would bail out and be able to get away, and Izuku would look at it, or the Hulk version, or the Hulk would look at it, and he would think, well, he really messed up. But not Izuku, not the Hulk. Izuku as the Hulk, no, he didn't mess up. Shigaraki messed up, because all of the disintegration on the arm begins to heal. And it begins to heal and go right back to the way it was. Shigaraki stands there in complete and utter shock, in which a roar comes from Izuku once again. This roar enough to shake the entirety of the USJ. Izuku would stand there in front with Kurogiri, Shigaraki, and a good amount of villains still standing in front of him. And he would put both of his hands out to his sides, and he would clap towards them as hard as possible, as a shockwave of wind would go spiraling toward them, and it would shove all the villains and knock all of them out, and send Kurogiri and also Shigaraki straight toward a wall, slamming them into it and basically knocking them out as well. Izuku would walk over, and he would remark that these are some puny villains, that they were nothing, and that they should stay down for good. In which Izuku would grab Shigaraki and grab the body of, or the kind of armor body of Kurogiri, and drag them over. In which Aizawa would struggle to his feet after being kind of hurt by the Nomu, but not as much, because Izuku took a lot of the kind of the aggro from the Nomu pretty quickly. But Aizawa would tell him to calm down, that do not do anything that you're going to regret. In which Izuku responds and says, Hulk going to do what he wants, and Hulk wasn't going to hurt them in the first place. In which he throws him to the side, and he says that the puny human that is within his body, well, he wants to be a hero. In which, of course, this would shock Aizawa. He didn't even know this frickin' thing could talk. I mean, seriously, how was he supposed to know it could talk? And it kind of talks in odd ways, like he's very simplistic. But he would basically tell Aizawa, like, he had no intention of killing him, no intention of killing any of them, but make sure that they don't get away. And he basically tells him this in like very elementary terms, and he calls them puny and once again, and says that these villains should have never stepped foot here, and that they will regret ever coming here ever again, and they will always regret it, and they'll double think about it if they ever decide to try to invade and hurt our friends once again. In which Izuku can kind of feel the control over the Hulk mildly, that he's able to kind of sit in the mind of the Hulk and talk to him and chat with him, and basically talk about not wanting to hurt anybody unconditionally, and, you know, protecting those that are his friends and stuff like that. In which this version of the Hulk is very attuned to it. Now, he's still massively under control. They have not bonded together. They're not fully together. But Izuku definitely is in the back of the mind of this version of the Hulk, or this version of the hulking figure. And Izuku is telling him, like, be careful with this, you know, don't hurt this person too much, and blah, blah, blah. In which eventually the hulking figure would get everybody to safety and get everybody settled, with all the villains completely knocked out and basically in handcuffs and ready to get out of there. That includes Kurogiri and Shigaraki. eventually Izuku would shrink right back down, and Izuku would be back to normal, in which he would actually be standing this time. Not knocked out, not tired, not out cold or anything, just normal form. The only issue is that he's kind of naked, in which a lot of people are like, oh, that is a bit embarrassing. And let's just say other people aren't so embarrassed and actually keep looking at Izuku. Now, I won't go any further into that, but of course, he gets covered up pretty quickly, and Izuku is a bit embarrassed as well, and goes to get clothes or a pair of clothes on, or a bit of stuff on, before he gets too exposed and people watch him too long. So this eventually leads everybody to leaving the USJ and taking a few days off as well, by the way, because they definitely need a few days off after that one. And Izuku gets new clothes and stuff like that, and he even has a conversation with All Might and Aizawa about basically what he was able to do, about all the stuff that he was able to do, and also the fact that, well, he was able to somewhat get a hold on, well, the Hulk, and this Hulk figure that he continues to have lay dormant within him, in which Izuku says, yes, he did, but like he said, it wasn't controlling. The Hulk still had full and utter control. It's just Izuku's ideas and ideals were definitely bleeding through. Like, it was actually pretty interesting that Izuku was able to communicate the way he was with the Hulk, which he's happy about. He's really, really happy that it worked out that way, even if it's kind of a awkward scenario, you could say. But with that said, well, they're pretty happy to see that he's making progression, and it seems that his power in general is coming along really well, and it seems like every time the Hulk comes out, he's stronger than even before. But they do have the UA Sports Festival coming up very, very soon, so they need to be prepared for that. The UA Sports Festival is very important, and a very important thing for Izuku. They basically tell Izuku, like, look, this is a serious thing, and it's very important for you to be noticed by other people, and once you are, basically you can get a really good internship, you can really set yourself up for the future and get really good kind of connections very, very quickly. And getting these connections is super important, in which Izuku thinks, you know what, you're right, he's going to take the UA Sports Festival extremely seriously. But the thing is, it's not like he can use his Hulk figure. It's not like he can actually use the Hulk or even, become the Hulk in the UA Sports Festival. And he understands that. So there's going to be a bit of a power gap that he's going to have to figure out his way around, in which initially it's not a problem. In terms of the obstacle course race, it's easy breezy, right? He can get through that and probably finish in the top 5, if not higher, just with his natural ability. His natural ability is insane, and on top of that, with the training he's done, like I said before, he's on an Olympian level. In terms of a cavalry battle, it's just the same way. Very easy. He's able to fend off a lot of these people because they're not able to really utilize their full and true power. Someone like Shoto Todoroki is not going to be able to make this huge iceberg in the cavalry battle. It will just make too many complications. Same thing with Bakugo, which he already has Bakugo's number in all honesty, but Bakugo won't be able to use all of his power as well. So in terms of the cavalry battle, him, Ochako, Tokiyami, and also Mei Hatsume would easily get through the cavalry battle itself. But really, things begin to take a drastic turn when you have the 1-versus-1 battles. Because the 1-versus-1 battles would start with someone by the name of Shinso. And this person, Shinso, well, he would begin to speak to Izuku, question Izuku, ask him anything, and begin to kind of insult him, begins to kind of say these horrible things, and begins to say kind of like, things toward him, in which Izuku doesn't respond. But here's the thing. Izuku can feel himself building this kind of rage and building this anger, but he doesn't want to allow the Hulk to come and take over, and he knows this. He even speaks with the Hulk briefly, saying that he knows the anger is building up within him, but he tells him that it's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing wrong going on. in which Izuku continues to feel angry, but eventually it leads him to just knocking out Shinso. But when he punches him, he sends him flying toward a wall and he slams into it pretty damn hard. He would look at his arms, but he's not transformed. This was a lot of strength, a lot more strength than he normally is used to, but definitely not on the same level of the Hulk, like not even close. But in terms of his normal skill, like his normal power, he's never hit that hard, to the point that they had to take Shinso away and basically make sure that he got to Recovery Girl like ASAP, because that was insane. The power he was able to build up through anger itself allowed him to basically knock Shinso out in one foul swoop. And he realizes something. If he builds up this anger but controls it to a certain extent, he doesn't have to transform to actually take on like 1% of the Hulk's power, or even like, 0.5% of the Hulk's power, which is plenty of strength when you put it into perspective. But that is what he'll have to try to channel when he takes on his next challenge, because his next challenge is against Shoto Todoroki, the user of an ice quirk. But it seems like he also has a fire side that he refuses to use for some reason. Now Izuku Midoriya is gonna have to take down this powerhouse, but how will he do? Will he win? Well, you're gonna have to find out in part 3 of What If Deku Had a Hulk Quirk. And if you enjoyed, show some love, leave a like, leave a sub, leave a comment down below, all that good stuff. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope all y'all have an amazing day. Later.